Well, welcome to the University of Badassery podcast. This is CJ Ortiz, and I am the Metal Motivator. Now, what we're going to do today with Mac, I got to do something completely different.
Come on,
We're
bro.
seated across from me, again, by about 80 miles because of the COVID horse crap. 22 years in Special Forces, 13 of those years spent in an elite Tier 1 unit of which shall not be mentioned or named. What he doesn't tell people often because he's so damn humble was all of his years in the Girl Scouts. He managed to carve out a butterfly patch and earned a merit badge in underwater balsa wood welding.
Yeah, bro. Claim to fame right there.
But to me, he is Patrick Heavy Metal McNamara. Bro, good to see you, man.
Same, CJ. Always good to see your pretty face up on my screen. Yep,
We do
we're
this
not
a
doing
lot.
a lot of in-person stuff, but you got to get back down here, bro, to my neck
I
of the
know
woods
it.
so we could go power slam
We
some
go
pints.
raging, man. Rage like Jamaicans.
Yes.
So me and Mac are doing a whole lot of fun stuff with the Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad, which is going outstanding. Right now, we've kind of, dude, I said this to myself this morning because of what's happening in our coaching squad on the Facebook apparatus. The level of engagement is far beyond any Facebook group I have ever participated in.
It's so freaking cool.
Anything like I've ever seen before with these guys and gals are sharing, and the interaction and the way they're connecting with each other. And it's putting demands on us to have even more live streams, more Zoom calls. We just did one Sunday night, did one Thursday night with everybody. And it's just been like the one we did this last Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen, was a book study. We had the whole squad in Tier 1 read a book called With Winning in Mind by Lanny Basham. And we talked about the book. We had squad members chiming in face to face. So it's like a massive mastermind roundtable. This is becoming my only background that I can liken this to is church. It's the only way I can describe it, where there's just, you get in there, there's didactic instruction, there's fellowship, there's mutual reinforcement, there's counsel, there's, and it's being done by a bunch of people who are just very humble, but yet at the same time striving like beasts to achieve. And so now Mac and My's policy is if you want to go any further than a 60-second Instagram video with Pat Mac, you're going to have to get in the squad.
Absolutely. I mean
that's it.
Yeah. And it's going to be worth their freaking time, bro. I mean, the amount of information that we have on there, I scanned through the other day when I put up Power Day CST with bands.
Right.
Because I scrolled back through to make sure that I didn't put that one up there because I put so many videos up there. I can't even remember what I've done. And your library up there right now is massive. It's massive. I mean, there's a lot of information, Wow.
Dude, you go from sharpening a knife to knots to all the way to max combat strength training
to cooking,
to guns, to cooking,
to
gardening, business and market. Now, this is just the instructional videos. This does not even include the 2-hour live streams that we do every week on Thursday night, right? Just us all talking. We talk everything from the aforementioned subjects to movies, to TV, and what's your favorite bourbon? And then we do also Zoom calls for our upper level tiers, and that's face to face. That means you get to come on screen and talk one-on-one. So again, I get so many people that will write in on a post talking about how much they're into Pat Mac or whatever, and yet as soon as I say, well, then join the squad,
right?
And it's like crickets. They disappear. So anyway, just one more thing. Then I want to talk about our guests because people may not know we have guests today, 2 of them. But Mac, we're sponsored by 2 incredible sponsors. So why don't you tell these fine folks who backs us up and underwrites this mission?
So number 1, our friends from upstate New York. The distillery is called Taconic. Boom. And this is absolute nectar of the gods right there.
You're holding up a full bottle this time.
Yeah, full bottle this time, yes. Because usually I'm holding up an empty. And you want to see cool times 10? Watch this. Boom! Yeah, baby.
It's a T-Max label on a Taconic Distillery bottle.
But if you're a bourbon drinker, I will guarantee, I don't know how to guarantee it, except me saying I guarantee it right now. I will guarantee that this is going to be on your top shelf. If you have the bourbon collection at home, this is going to be on your top shelf. There's no doubt about it right there. Taconic bourbon. And then we got our buddy Wes Whitlock out there in Austin, Texas. It's a small state in the southwest of the United States of America.
Small country.
Just small. Yep. He runs Rogue American Apparel, and one of his other business is Invader Coffee. And you know what's very appropriate about me holding this one up?
It's your blend.
Yeah, check out the picture though too. What we're going to be talking about. My artwork is on the label of this Invader Coffee. So T-Max Blaze Ops Blend, baby.
And for those who are listening, it's an image that Mac drew of a little bird with a bunch of commandos and rifles hanging out the side, which brings us to the important. Let me just make sure I mention the URLs here: taconicdistillery.com, invadercoffee.com. Opening music by our good friend Metal Mike, formerly of Halford, Judas Priest. We're talking about some serious stuff here.
Man,
metalmike.net. Go check him out. But today we're really excited about this particular podcast because I don't know that we've had 4 people. Right?
No, we have not. This is a first.
So we've only had 3 up to this point. Now, we're going to bring somebody on who we just had recently. So let me just mention George E. Chick Hand the Fourth.
Yeah.
Welcome, my friend. Now, for those
Thanks
who
so much for being here again, George. We've been in contact more in the past month than in a series of years.
In about 30, well,
Right.
Well, that many years.
Series of years. Yep.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention something to CJ.
Sir.
That, when Mac was holding up the coffee with the little bird and the assaulters on it, the base print that was used was a photo that I took on the compound with the first, it was the first DSLR camera that the unit got. It was basically a Canon top with a digital bottom on it. And it came to our advanced ops squadron, and he goes, George takes pictures. Here, George, take this camera. I'm like, I don't want this camera. Then I was all over the place and, just shooting pictures, and one of the A Squadron assault teams come flying over in a little bird, just right over one of the shooting berms. And I picked that thing up and snapped that shot.
Yep.
And it went viral as viral goes in the unit. And so, I mean, to hold that up and see that picture, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you're a piece of that. You got
and I think Mac drew that picture for me primarily as a gift to me.
Yep.
And I've got it hanging up on the wall, along with one other of Mac's prints. And then I have a few others that are just pressed away, waiting to be framed and hung up.
And for those, again, who didn't hear the last episode, we encourage you to go ahead and check out that episode with George Hand that we did recently. But for the short info for him is he was many, many years with Pat Mack in the unit.
Yep. And before.
Okay. That's
right. Oh yeah, man.
We were vanilla special forces together up in first group. Yep. Went to combat dive school together.
Yeah.
We went to, we reclassed 18 special forces communicator course together. Yep.
Yeah.
So
we got a lot of time, man, together.
Yep.
Many I don't want to I would prefer you, George, introduce our fourth and final person because
I'll be glad to.
You're going to be able to do the background and do this thing right. So why don't you welcome our special guest today?
This is retired Chief Warrant Officer Gregory Gravy Coker, and he is a light attack helicopter pilot with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Nightstalkers.
Wow.
And I know Greg I've probably flown with him a number of times and never knew it. That's just the way it works out in the unit. But I was having a rough time in 2015. That was my most immemorial year, if I can take a word from
Sure.
Edgar Allan Poe. But he he heard that I was having a bad time, had no idea who I was other than I was a unit man. And he put together a road trip of folks to come out and support me and help me out. And it didn't actually happen, but I mean, I waved him off, but absolute full credit goes to the man for his intentions. And he's recently, finally, after, a year or so of badgering, has agreed to write a book, but he wanted a ghostwriter and he asked me to ghostwrite for him. And I said yes immediately, just because the momentum was there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's do it. then I thought about it after when he said, okay, let's go. And I thought, oh, I ain't got time to write a book. Screw this guy. I'm writing my own book. And, and I wrote a couple of stories for Greg to post on SoftRep, the web portal SoftRep. And I looked at those stories and I go, God, man, this is like, okay, this is 1, 2, 3. This is basically 4 days in this guy's 8-year life overseas flying combat operations. It's 4 days. And I took my book and I shoved it aside, said, I'll see you later. And I just wrote for Greg, because he was pumping a couple of chapters a day at me. And I was looking at that and go, you know what this guy's done? He's made me, the showstopper for his book, because it's not going to get out until I get it done. So I need to sit down and type as fast as he's typing and keep cranking him out. And so that's what I did for about a solid month. And, his book is going to come out in just a few days. So that's Greg Coker.
Wow. Well, let me just say the book and then we'll bring Greg in. Death Waits in the Dark. 6 Guns Don't Miss. The story of a special operations attack helicopter pilot from the Nightstalkers. Greg Coker, thanks for being with us on the University of Badassery.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Pat Mac, CJ, Geo. Well, I'll tell you all, Geo and I had sat in his kitchen one evening. It was about a year before we started this.
Yeah.
2008, late 18, 19. But I had to keep badgering him to write this with me. So finally he came around and says, okay, let's write the book.
with some other nudging from Kyle Lamb.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. Oh,
yeah,
brother Kyle
Lamb,
nudged. All right, good.
Big player in this, Mac.
Good.
Yeah, Lamb Diggity Dog, the old sod buster. He has been after me for many, many years to write. And he says, Gravy, if it ain't written, it never happened.
Yeah.
Please write some stories.
Have any other Nightstalkers written anything like that or similar?
No.
Oh, good. Yeah. Be the first, pave the way. Because people, oh man. Yeah. Now I have to confess about this. I usually say, hey, dark people do dark things in dark places of the world and nobody needs to fucking know about it. Yep. But people need to know about that at the same time. Well, because the right people are going to read that. You know what I mean? You're going to hit a demographic of people that are genuinely interested. I mean, like genuinely, like, this is like the icing on the cake for them because they've read all the Ranger stories, of course, the millions of SEAL books that are out there. They've read all, and they need this because, man, yeah. Good on you, bro. Good on you. And good for Kyle for nudging, because that's a good freaking dude, man.
Yeah.
Kyle and I go way back too. We went to selection and OTC together, and he's a good freaking cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an instructor for Kyle for some time. And
right. Yeah, with Viking Tactics.
Yep. With VTAC. Yeah, he'd tell Gravy stories, to the class or.
Now, Greg, did you notice a uptick in interest and awareness of Nightstalkers after the film Black Hawk Down?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think we had just gotten back from Afghanistan from OEF, and they were getting ready to release the movie. And what they did before the release is they went to Campbell, Bragg, and Fort Benning. And they did a special showing for the 160th, for the unit there at Bragg, and then for the Rangers. And it was just us, and it was the producer, the actors, everybody was there at this showing of the movie. And I think everybody's Mark Bowden wrote the book, and everybody was thinking, well, how can they write about this? This is what we do, and we're somewhat in the shadows. But I think it was well written, and they did a great job with the movie. It's not a war movie. It's a movie about brotherly love and what one does for each other when it gets really, really bad. It ain't about mom or the flag or any of those things. It's about the guy on the left and the guy on the right. And that's it.
But they did show some cool ass strafing scenes.
Sure did. They sure did. Yeah, it was B Company and A Company flying our aircraft in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. Yeah,
You'll look, there's a scene where they land in the street, and they took 4 little birds, and they cross configured them for MH, because we had other responsibilities. So if you look in one scene, the little bird MH lands in the street, and if you look at the nose, it's got the red 6 and the sword on it. And the Six-Packs guys, they don't like that at all. Like, that's damn B Company. That's right. But yeah, it was good. And I'll tell you, CJ, and Pat Mack knows, and Gio Shirley knows, but I didn't want to be that guy. And it took me 15 years to do this. And I'm a very strong, faithful man. I believe in God. Jesus Christ is my Savior. And I prayed a whole bunch about this. And God said, it's okay, do it. And everyone has told me, Greg, this is a story that needs to be written. Okay? It's not about me. It's about the tribe. Right. It's about us and our trials and tribulations on and off the battlefield. And the other thing that held me back was that, these are my thoughts. These are my emotions. These are my actions. And I didn't want to put that out there to the world to see or to read or to hear. But I've come to grips with it. And like everybody said, it's, hey, this is a good story and it needs to be told. Kyle Lamb wrote the intro for it, and I'm just so honored that he did that for me. George wrote a prologue. I'll tell you a little story about Kyle right quick. So I call him up. I say, hey, bro, would you consider writing the and he goes, yes. Hey, Kyle. And I said, okay, man. I sent him the manuscript that evening. And then I think he called me the next morning. And I could tell, there was a crack in his voice. And I said, what's up, bro? He goes, dude, I've been crying. I said, what? He goes, I just read this first chapter. And that was powerful for that man to say that to me. Yeah. And he finished it. He said, let me tell you something, Greg. This book's going to save lives. Wow.
Cool.
Veterans, for law enforcement, for wives, for families, for parents. Wow. And, another reason I wrote it is for our future warriors. Okay. Maybe they want to know what's going on, or they're thinking about coming into the military, the Army, or going to Special Forces or 160th or wherever. And I think it'll shine some light on, the average day of average dudes just out there doing their job, having fun. So
I'll tell you, CJ, that I've said this enough times now. It's been kind of like the mantra for me regarding Greg's book. It's like the writing is what it is, but the story promises to deliver. Yeah, the story will deliver, man. It's amazing. I mean, I was pushing myself away from my computer a bunch of times, going, "Come on, come on!" Right, Mac? Come on. It's just hard to believe, It's like, sure, of course he did. Why wouldn't he? Tap, 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 tap. It's unbelievable. It's like 20 guys' experiences all jammed into one.
Well, God put me in many places at all these different times. And, and guys would tell me, or I'd tell them that I was at the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right time. However you want to look at it. But I was there. And, I'm very dedicated to my profession. And I really, really, as an AH attack helicopter pilot, I love all the guys I work with. And I felt that, I was their guardian angel. I was their archangel. And my job was to get on target, kill as many bad guys as I could so they wouldn't get hurt.
Right.
And then they'd raise hell with me and they'd say, Gravy, can you leave some guys on target so we can shoot them? I was like, okay, man, I'll do that.
There's so much stuff in that book, Greg. I like different scenes pop into my head. I'm like, oh yeah, which book was that in? Which of the Greg Coker series of books was that in? No, it's all in the same damn book.
CJ, the MHs and the AH, those little birds, they've got this signature, and depending on the ambient noise and how much noise pollution there is where you are, a trained ear could hear them like two minutes out, a trained ear. And I forget where I was. I'm pretty sure it was in Iraq. And I forget who said this to me. It was like troop leadership. But he looks at me and he goes, "You hear that?" And it was AHs coming in. And I go, "Yep." He goes, "That's the sound of impending doom." Bro, you are so freaking right, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, really freaking
violent action.
Yep.
Well, that's got to be an interesting dynamic, because you think of, like, I saw with my son over the weekend,
cool,
the film Outpost.
Oh, great.
About the guy stuck down in the valley and in this almost impossible situation.
Well done. 2 Medal of Honors.
Yeah, 2 Medal of Honors. And so you're just you're seeing their situation is so impossible. So obviously it's hard for anything to get in there, but you just think of their awaiting, as so many troops have going back to Vietnam, waiting for the bombs to come, waiting for the F-4s in Vietnam or what have you, or Apaches. But this relationship has got to be so much different with you guys, Greg, in the Nightstalkers and something like the unit.
Absolutely.
It's not regular Army just kind of stuck out there all the time. It's
right,
a whole different animal.
Yes. And I mean, we all worked together for years and years and years. And, we go to each other's homes and we share our food and we hold their babies and we cry with them. We laugh with them. We drink with them. We are there for each other. And I talk about it in the book. A voice would come on the radio and I'd be like, "Oh, that's Mo," or "Hey, that's Kyle," or "Miho," or "That's George," or "Mac," or whoever. And it's a very close knit family.
Describe what it's like when you think of the guys like in this movie Outpost or in Black Hawk Down, the guys in distress,
right?
Calling for something.
I've been in that situation.
What is it like for you to hear guys, like you said, that you recognize even their voice, that they're in trouble and you're on your way?
Yes, sir. I had a couple like that. The big one, I guess, would be Haditha Dam.
Yeah,
that's that battle in 2003. And the other one was Objective Raptor. And I write about it also. That was out west Ramadi in 2003. But when somebody calls, they know the AHs are coming and they call you by your name, things are bad or they're going to get bad. So personally, I always said a quick prayer and pull the guts out of the machine, to get there. I just asked God to please let us get there. Yeah. That's all I ever did. And the rest is up to us. So yeah, we were told that West BP, the first engagement we made at the dam, was 12 meters in front of friendlies. They were being overrun by about a company-sized element. There were 6 Rangers in that BP that blocked the position.
12 meters, bro.
We made it,
dude.
Put that in perspective. Really, and we did this in training all the time too. I'm talking right across the street, guns and rockets. So because we did it so much in training, we had complete confidence when shit was really bad. I can't remember how many times I've had brass raining down on top of my head from these guys.
Yes.
Raining down. And the sound, oh my God, talk about chub factory, man. Yeah, you get a massive chub when that thing starts lighting it up. Holy crap, bro.
I don't know which cyclic to grab, man, when I start firing minigun.
Greg, Greg,
Sorry
I put in mind of a chapter in your book where you were talking to a couple of unit guys on the ground, and they were whispering.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh my God, how close are these guys?"
Yeah,
they were very close.
They were extremely close.
So they had to whisper.
Yep. Yeah, I got them what they needed, and we killed the bad guys.
Yeah, you guys smoked a convoy, tankers,
Lots of
all
them.
kinds of stuff.
Every night.
Okay, so
Bus caravan.
this is interesting that whereas regular troops could be waiting on an F-16 or something to fly through, these are guys who also carry you into the fray, right?
Yes.
It's not just the Apache to come in and blow things up. These are guys who also carry you. They're your transport as well.
We're a package, so to speak.
So practicing for this stuff, Max talked about that before, going to Houston back in the day and running these things in the middle of the night and scaring all the people because it's the Orwellian black helicopters,
right down the middle of the street, bro. 90 knots right down the middle of the street.
So speaking.
So that had to be a lot of fun, Greg, having guys hanging out your window. And
absolutely, it was always fun, but it's very serious business. It's extremely dangerous business, but the way we train and the way we form our relationships with each other, there's just a big amount of trust. And we gain that trust over years and years. I mean, we spend years together. It's a team, so to speak. And they, like Max said and Gio, they have full faith and confidence in our abilities as the gun guys to shoot as close as we need to shoot. They know that we'll put that aircraft in position to do it safely and to keep our guys safe and shoot the bad guys. All the lift guys, from the Little Birds, the Hawks, the Chinooks, they know that those guys are going to get them to the X plus or minus 30 seconds. And I've watched them fly through hailstorms of bullets to get them there. And they got them on the ground when they were supposed to be, where they were supposed to be.
Would you consider what happened, we just had the anniversary 27 years ago in Mogadishu. Would you consider that the longest sustained attack helicopter engagement?
Yes, for that time period, but we've had more since then.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, that was the longest probably in history. And I knew all the guys, most of them. I knew all the B company guys, the A company guy, Little Bird Lift guys. And yeah, it was, and I've heard the story from every pilot that was there, and the crew chiefs and the armament dogs and the first sergeant. And I mean, there were our FARP guys were dragging ammo under fire, or that was in Panama. They just, your NCOs are no different than guys flying or the guys on the ground. I mean, we're all dedicated to the mission, and it's a no-fail mission.
Right.
And that's how we live.
Bro, these guys would pick guys up during a firefight and pull out MP5s and give them cover fire. I shit you not, man.
Wow.
They got all this other stuff going on, collectives and throttles just cranked, blades are spinning at 100%, and they're providing cover fire. Are you freaking kidding me?
Wow.
Badass, man.
Yep.
So, Greg, I guess talking to you now, because even though Ridley Scott made all the helicopter scenes look so cool in the movie, I mean, you got you guys taken off in choreographed moves to Jimi Hendrix' Voodoo Child.
Yeah.
But we don't really see too much of that other side. Obviously, so much attention is given to the actual soldiers on the ground. But now thinking about it, you have been so much in the role of, taking care of the guys on the ground, coming in to, kind of save the show. There has to be a unique emotion to what Schuchart and Gordon did.
Yes.
Guard one of you guys so selflessly like that.
I always think of John 15:13, and I think about those fellas a lot, all the time, and everybody that we lost on that day. But yeah, I mean, that's who we are. We never shall we leave a fallen comrade.
Right.
And, the day I got shot down in Iraq, I knew the guys I knew they were coming, and sure enough, here they come.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been a lot different if they hadn't have been there.
Right.
Sure.
Now, Greg, just so, because a lot of us, like myself, we don't know, we've never heard of you until Geo revealed your life to us. But take us back, tell us, how'd you get into flying helicopters, man?
Well, it goes back to, I was a child of the 60s and 70s, and my dad was in the military. Of course, I just had an infatuation with flight. I always wanted to fly. Of course, Pop take me out to runways on weekends and watch fighters and whatever. So that was, that was just something that had always been in my heart. And I always tell men that a man doesn't pick the profession picks the man. And it says in the good book that when God is weaving us in our mother's womb, he's got that path already laid out for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I always, thought of flying and watching it, and of course, watching the war and all it was a helicopter war then. So, yeah, I always wanted to, fly helos. And when I got to that point, I didn't have a degree. So the Army was my only choice with their warrant officer program. So their big selling point for years and years was high school to flight school. They'd take a kid, an 18-year-old kid right out of high school, enlist him, send him to basic, then off to Rucker for flight school. And that was my vehicle that I used. I enlisted and then served in the infantry at the 101st, and then submitted my packet for flight school at that time. And for some odd reason, they took me, and when I got there, I asked for guns, and then we were still flying H-1 Cobras, and everybody in my flight class thought I was crazy. But I said, no, I kind of like blowing shit up and shooting things, so I want guns, And I got them, of course, and did a tour in Cobras, and then came back to the 101st, flew Apaches for then Lieutenant Colonel Cody, and went on to be General Cody. And in 93, I assessed for the 160th and was successful there. So,
which ain't no joke, man, that assessment either,
Not at all.
No, it's hard. I mean, yeah, assessment, and you always have a pretty good attrition. And then our green platoon, I guess, to mirror other units is like OTC, but that's our, it's 8 to 12 month training period where once you're selected for an aircraft, say guns or Little Bird Lift or Blackhawks or Chinooks, then you go off to your specific group where you train in that aircraft. And it was, yeah, it's a butt kicker. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
and
man.
In my class, we had a 70, there were 4 of us, so we had 75% failure. And I was the only one that made it through. So, yeah.
So then how many years with 160th?
15 years.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
And you retired when?
2008. Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
How long was your career total there, Greg?
22 years.
Right on.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, and I met Pat Mack back when he was doing OTC stuff, of course. And I did have a question. I thought of something today, Pat, that we did a big culmination out in the desert right before, like 02. Mm-hmm. And I think it was with you all, but there was a truck that came through us, our group, that evening. We had indexed, ready to roll up and roll home. And they hadn't got the word. There were guys from the 82nd. So they were driving around shooting at everybody, with blanks on the ground. And somebody jumped in the back of that truck, and they had to break the back windshield out of it to get them to stop because it had gotten dangerous.
Right.
They were flowing in and out of the Panders and, vehicles. Yep. I was trying to remember who that was. I actually thought it was you.
Nope, it wasn't. But dang it, man. But I'm recollecting that right now.
Yeah, sounds like something Mac would do.
Yeah, I wish I could claim that, but it wasn't me. Dang it, man.
I remember writing about that, but I didn't know Mac was there.
Yep.
So Mac, I mean, once you guys get into the unit, you've got OTC, which is, you're going to be preoccupied with handguns and close quarter stuff and breaching and, these kind of things. At what point do you say, okay, now we got to shift to helicopters?
Yeah, I can't remember when but we did, it was pretty extensive. We would have, a full week of it.
Yep.
So all of the platforms, and
about 2/3 of the way through for you guys, I think is when we started.
Right.
Smoking.
Yeah. And we would even do like appreciation flights where, you actually hover in a Black Hawk, all right, you're grabbing the collective. And then we would be a second seater in the AHs and shoot rockets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was like, damn, man, this is freaking badass, bro. Oh, I'm like where was that? OP5?
OP5, OP12.
Yep. One of those OPs out there in Bragg.
Yep.
But
so what about that first time you jumped on the side of one?
Yeah, that was in OTC, because
Really?
you don't, we didn't do that stuff in regular SF, not back then.
Right.
But just the feeling of awesomeness. I mean, there is a feeling of that you're invincible, when you're on the side of that and you're just hauling ass above the deck, and then you come in lower and you get that 1 minute call, and in your 32nd,
watch the AA just pass you to go to the target.
Yep. It is freaking. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to explain other than the ultimate feeling of awesomeness.
Yeah.
Of being invincible.
Now you got to get off that thing quick.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. And you got to take care of your guys. You got to get off of it quick, but guys would be antsy to get off during hover, like when it's above, when it's like 3 feet off the ground. But the thing is, you don't want to send these guys into a tilt or anything either. So you've got to be real patient, wait till those skids hit down, and boom, you're freaking off it, because they're cruising. I mean, as soon as you're off, they're clearing it real fast, and boom, they're out of there. So, they take care of us. We got to take care of them. We got to make sure that we're covering their 6-2 in flight. Heads on a swivel. We're looking at every freaking thing.
Everything.
I remember being real. I talked about this on the Jocko podcast. I did
the podcast.
On 04 or 05. There was a couple hits in Iraq I did where I was the only one. I had my own little bird flying into hits in Fallujah.
Oh, man.
So the feeling of responsibility for me, just scanning the entire network of ground, because I'm basically security for this thing, and I've got their comms on. So, 1 minute out, I'm unplugging their comms, plugging mine in. I fast rope myself. And, there's a big trade there, give and take. They're taking care of you. You got to take care of them as well.
Dude, you can't tell that story and not tell everybody what they called that mission.
Oh, yeah. You know who that, and it was CK. It was CK who wrote it on the board one night on the whiteboard planning, Task Force Mac.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
One guy into Fallujah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't alone. I had my own little bird, but I was following others. But I was the only one on this thing, which was
badass, man.
Yeah, it was really cool. They took care of me, because by the time I got to Iraq, those guys they've done hundreds and hundreds of combat operations, and I was absolute freaking cherry, absolute. I mean, so they took care of me by giving me, a lot of shit to do.
Yeah. So now you said you fast roped.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was supposed to. The plan that first night was the first bird's going to fast rope and cut what was clothesline wires on this rooftop. They get there and they realize they're electric wires. Oh. So they freaking call me, and I could hear them. Hey, you got to rope in. I'm like, holy shit! But now I'm going into contingency planning mode. I'm like, I got to rope here. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure it's all because I don't want to slow this guy down.
Right.
I don't want him hanging out, because now he's just a freaking bullet trap. Yeah. Hovering in the air. So as soon as they gave me that, as soon as they pointed, I chucked that thing. And I have this saying too. It's called a fast rope, not a slow rope. The only reason it's there is to keep my feet underneath my head, because I get down that thing, man. I don't mess around. I mean, I do not like to be on that thing. I don't want those guys up there hanging out any longer than they should be. So I am off of that, man. Boom. I'm hitting it. I'm hitting that landing hard.
Now, in a situation like this, when you flew into Fallujah, how long are you in there, and how do you get out?
Well, it depends on what type of operation it is.
Right.
It could be a minute and a half.
We're talking about Task Force Mac.
Yeah, yeah. On those, it was, I think because there were several buildings, so like 7 to 10 minutes ish, something like that.
So
Yep.
was it just a snatch and grab
Yeah.
type mission? Yeah.
Yep.
So they didn't know you were coming, and
I'm sorry.
they didn't know you were. Wasn't in the midst of
No.
a battle.
And with that signature thing, what I was talking about for us trained ear guys, that's a beautiful sound, man. When you hear those little birds, and a trained ear could hear, like I said, on a real quiet night. So what? 2 minutes out? Is that about right?
Yeah.
About 2 minutes out, and because different birds have different signatures. Like you could hear about 47, about 3.5 minutes out.
Right.
I mean, that. But for them, I mean, they developed trained ears now. Don't get me wrong. They developed this, and they knew who was on those little birds. These guys knew it, but it wasn't as acute as ours were. And then it would always be at the wee hours too.
Yeah. Yes. So, what would be the fear level of the enemy on average with hearing the little birds come? It's got to be different than the Blackhawks, because they know those are slower.
Yep. I think it was pretty good. I'm not sure. I can't speak for those freaking
Meat
Fox,
sticks.
but they knew us.
Right.
They knew us. There were signal flares going up, cell phone. They knew who we were. They would lay low. They did not want to mess with that stuff.
Right.
Because they knew that they were going to get a spanking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what their fear level was, but man, they knew that there was a difference. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, because it's hard unless it stops. It is really, really hard to target, right? With an RPG or a small arms, you got to get pretty close to do anything effectively. And they're moving so damn fast, and they're spitting flames at you.
Right.
Little flames at successive amounts of speed that is going to be that has to be terrifying, because there's nothing to feel good about. Oh, well, if it slows down, we got it. Like nobody says that in the hut. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Right. In the hut.
They're like, shh, be very, very quiet.
Yeah.
The little helicopters are flying.
And it didn't matter whether it was, the little birds or the Blackhawks. Man, those guys, there was this level of trust that you really can't compare it to anything else, because it can be life or death at any given nanosecond. I remember one night going in somewhere and on a Blackhawk, and we could see that we just got shot at with RPGs just by the signature of that thing coming past us. And that Blackhawk pilot turned that sucker sideways and went straight down like meters off of the deck. Just dropped it out of the air to reduce his signature. To the point where, we were airborne in that thing. We hit zero gravity, where we were floating in that thing, and it just went down. And the noise, the racket inside of that thing. But we totally got what this pilot was doing. It's like, none of us are getting freaking hurt from this shit. And I know how to fly this thing, and I know how to push it to a limit just beyond, or just to the point where if I push it anymore, it's going to come apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Greg, am I wrong when I think that I've seen photos of little birds as far back as Vietnam?
Yes, that was the original OH-6, or the Loach. And
what was that used for back then?
It was used for recce. Yeah, they back then they had a Cobra and a Loach. It was called a pink team, and the Loach would fly in low right at treetop level. The Cobra would go up 1,500 feet above him, and the Loach's job was to draw fire from the enemy, and then he'd break away, and then the gun would be in a tip. He'd see tracer fire. The Loach guy'd call him. He'd tip over and then, put guns and rockets in it.
So the idea is that the Loach is small and fast.
Yes,
so very hit,
very maneuverable. Yeah, it's the Lamborghini of helicopters.
Right.
It's highly maneuverable.
So when did it start to make its change? Was it after the unit to accommodate the unit, or before?
No, I think there was some parallel things going on, and and we talk about the V tail or the T tail. So the V tail or the old, that's the Loach, the OH-6A model, and then they got, as they progressed throughout history, they got bigger engines, so more horsepower they can carry. They had 4-blade main rotor, and then McDonnell Douglas Hughes, they started looking at, okay, we need more capability with this aircraft, late 70s. So they came out with the 5-bladed main rotor, bigger engine, more power. They can pick up more. But the original B Company birds in the 160th back in 80, 81 were OH-6s. They were Loaches.
So how long, two questions, when did the 160th start? And
1981.
1981.
Yes, sir. It was after the mission in Iran,
Okay.
where they'd had Desert One,
Right.
and it was all services, so to speak. And Sergeant Charlie Beckwith, after that mission, said, "I want all Army guys flying us." And then that they had already tasked and identified, and they were all coming from Campbell. There were a lot of Vietnam guys still left around, so great pilots, and that flew both Loaches, and the Black Hawk was coming on board then. So it was the gunship and then the Black Hawks.
Okay, so then there was a genuine relationship here that was special operations driven.
Yes, sir.
Taking that to the next level. And so I guess they just said, well, let's just get a 160. This is dedicated Army special operations helicopter, death
Correct.
from above.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me, because that means, the story goes back a lot longer. And so you guys being involved in all sorts of places and locations, which don't necessarily have to be mentioned, but I think it's a fascinating thing, because it's this relationship, as you described when you said earlier, we've held each other's babies and barbecued together and drank beer together and, all these sorts of things. So that's a lot of training time.
Yes.
Right? Together.
Yes. A lot.
So are you guys training back and forth different, out in, where was it, in Kentucky? Where are you guys?
Yes, sir. We did most of the traveling to the, Bragg, to Benning, to Stewart, Fort Lewis, where 275 Rangers are. And then we do training all around the country with customers.
Yeah,
we refer to them. So back
Right.
in the day, you couldn't say any words. We called everybody customers. Well,
Right.
the customers. Now it's colors. It's blue, it's green, it's red, it's brown, but yeah, whatever, dude. But yeah, we travel. We did urbans and major cities, and Houston and Dallas and
New Orleans, Detroit,
Detroit, LA. LA was always cool, because we'd land in the streets of LA, and everybody thought somebody was making a movie, so nobody ever even looked twice. And, oh, look, little black helicopters are landing, and yeah, whatever.
So getting those out there, is that something that are transported, or are you making the flight yourselves?
We can transport them. Yes, we have various ways to get them where we need to get them.
I was say, because it would look strange for a whole, shit ton of them to be traversing, even whether it's coming from Benning to Bragg. You know what I mean? It would still be allowed, because I hear them when they, for some reason, where my house is a practice
White path.
It's like a cruise, guys just cruising up and down. So we'll get Apaches, we'll get the Blackhawks, and I can always tell when the Blackhawks are coming, because everything starts to rumble.
Yes.
Everything starts to rumble. You're like, what in the hell is that? When I remember the first time they came over, because they were fairly low, and it was just like, oh my god,
it shakes the whole house.
Oh yeah, it's like 3 or 4 of them. I'm just like, that is the loudest thing. That's way louder than a plane was. Plane didn't shake everything. These things actually shook everything.
Yes,
but I just know that that's a hard footprint to hide.
Yes, it is. We have to use terrain and planning and things like that. Of course, the darkness.
Right.
Why we're called night stalkers, not day stalkers. So bad things happen to us in the day. I can attest to that.
Yeah, well, here's a question for all you guys, because you had to, obviously, you were all night stalkers, right? In a way, because you
creatures of the night.
Yes.
So do you ever fall back to normal or
No.
no?
No, that's your life. I mean, in our special operations community, we work at night.
So like, baby, I want to go to dinner at 3
Like
in the morning.
vampires.
Let's hit that restaurant at 3 a.m, babe.
Yeah.
They won't know what's coming. She's like, yeah, literally, they won't, and we'll get arrested.
Yes.
Man, so I don't want to obviously reveal too much of what's in the book because I want people to have all the incentive in the world to read it. We want to push this book hardcore. But why don't you, can you share something out of there that's a special interest, or even George, if you'd like to?
Oh goodness. There's George. What was one of your favorites, I guess?
Oh, it popped in my mind just now. I'm not saying it's one of my favorite, but for some reason, I think it's just because it's corny. Was when you guys jumped in that rhino and went on a joyride.
Yeah.
And ended up mouthing off to a British officer, female officer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just there's something, out of a typical movie. I just had fun, right? Kind of running away with that story.
Yeah, there's good times and there's some that aren't so good times. So
yeah, and even that part where you guys found the turtle, the huge seagull and turtle shell, all bleached in the sun. For some reason that grabbed my attention, and I just felt like writing a little bit more about it than
yes
there.
Well, how long is the book?
It is about 120,000 words, 407 pages.
Okay, that's a.
But I've
and about 78 photos, color.
I put 78 pictures in the book, and
Nice.
and I got some some raised eyebrows from different publishers I talked to, and I'll talk about book publishing here in a minute, but I've read thousands and thousands of books over my life. I love to read. I'm always reading something, and especially nonfiction. And I can remember I'll be reading a story about Vietnam or World War II or whatever. And I was like, I'm trying to picture this in my mind. And I was like, gosh, I wish there was a picture there. So I took that. That's my book. I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to. So I there's 80 now, Gio. I added 2.
Okay.
So, but yeah, a picture's worth 1,000 words is what I was always told. So, and then they kind of flow with the story. A lot of them, I'll have them in, around the chapter because, I'm sure somebody's going to read this and say, there ain't no way. And then, boom, there's a picture that I took.
Yeah, I was amazed. It's almost like you lived your whole life going, I'm going to write a book and we're going to need this. And we're going to need this. Because you just constantly pull, like you talk about painting guys' names on your Hydra rockets.
Yeah.
So I put Kyle Lamb's name on the Hydra rocket. It's a photograph of the rocket with Kyle's name on it.
Benny Cooley and Mike Dillon and just a bunch of
cool
dudes I knew. And I'm a shooter and that I shot with. Michael Voigt and you guys all know. So.
Oh man, I bet they dug that, when you told them that. I bet they were just like, oh my God. Yeah, I bet they had stories like, where did you shoot that? They must have asked that.
They did.
Yep. They did. Cool. Because those guys are great, man. They're great Americans. And so CJ, he's talking about Gravy's talking about guys in the shooting industry who we've trained with. They're professional shooters. Mike Voigt, Benny Cooley, guys like that. And
Robbie Latham.
Yeah, Robbie Latham. They're just true patriots, and they've done a lot of training with all of us, and we've gone to matches with them and such. So
just good dudes.
Yep.
And they got their names painted on some rockets.
Yep.
Yeah, I took a Sharpie and I was like, we're getting ready to load rockets. And I was like, I was really thinking about Kyle at the time because he was not there and he had gone off to SF to do some time. And of course, everything went down and he wasn't with us. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this for old Sodbuster. And then it kind of went, oh, yeah, Mike Voigt. Mike Dillon. Mike Dillon produces the M134 minigun. And, yeah, just some buds. Took a picture of it. I was like, I'll show this to him one day.
Well, if there's any young pilots listening to this podcast, we want a University of Badassery missile.
That's right, bro.
Okay.
Take a picture and send it to us. And then tell us where you shot it.
Carry your Sharpie, so if you lose your grease pencil, you can get your pepper on the windscreen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about book publishing. I'm a writer. I love the whole thing. I used to run a publishing label.
Oh, wow.
So I know all the ins and outs of all this sort of stuff. And I'm a huge advocate, been pushing people to self-publish for years and years and years, especially once social media became a part of the communications options and tools. So take us into how you guys came to the conclusion, let's do this ourselves.
Well, I wish I would have talked to you 3 months ago, CJ. it would have saved us a lot of pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, what a process. And I know I have hundreds of man hours. And it started out that, Gio and I talk about this often. And, okay, so we've got this document. So now what do we do with it? So, and we're all the type of men where, okay, I'm going to research this. I'm going to study it. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to call people. And I did all those things. And I wasn't satisfied with any of the answers that I received. Right. And it was mainly from what I pulled out from talking to publishing companies. And most of them, they won't even talk to you if you're a first-time book publisher. Right. You don't have an agent or you don't have a manager or whatever. But we found out that there are other ways. There's other roads. There's other paths to take to get this done. And you know all too well. And, I told Gio, I said, hey, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to self-publish this thing. He was like, right on, let's do it. So the biggest thing I saw were the royalties that these publishing companies take for publishing this book. I mean, they are exponential. And I said, well, this is unsatisfactory. And I know guys that have written books. Gio knows guys that have written books. I'm talking New York Times bestsellers. And they haven't received a royalty yet.
Yeah.
So
that's a fact.
I kind of put it all together and I'm like, okay, that's why these top writers, these authors, they have to write 3 or 4 books a year, probably just to pay the gas bill, or buy groceries or whatever the case, that and their love for writing. And so I talked to, well, it goes back from old, construction work days or planning that type of stuff. Is always got 3 bids, if I built a house or whatever, you get 3 bids from everybody, electrician, plumber, talk to them, interview them. And that's what I did with printing companies. I didn't go to a publisher. I found a company that prints books.
Right.
And then I will, we'll get them printed, and I saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, for guys out there that are looking to do this, call me, contact me or Gio, and
yeah, man, we'll help you.
We will help you. And
for a nominal fee.
Yeah. But it's very stressful, and it was just a pain in the sack, so to speak, to do it, but we got it done. And
we were brash, man. We were brash about how we proceeded.
Oh, yes.
And in the end, it was the right moves.
And we went through several, different levels and different operations in, from copywriter to layout editor to all these people that are involved with publishing a book. And so we just kind of cut out the middleman and went right direct to the publisher or to the printer. So the printer, say again?
No, that is exactly what happened. And I neglected to ever consult Mac, how he proceeded with Caps and Sentinel, his books.
I tried to get in touch with Mac a couple times.
Mac's hard to get in touch with, man.
He's busy, but
I
did
suck, bro. I suck, man.
Yeah, I know you don't. Yeah, but I did talk to Kyle in depth and detail because he's published 3 books now. But he has his own publishing company. He is the publisher. He's a printer, and he's like, dude, just do it yourself. You can, just go do it. And he gave me some ideas, and I went down those rabbit holes, some of them good, some of them not so good. But yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine one day, and it's the folks up at the Warriors Journey.
Yeah.
And they're a Christian faith-based nonprofit that work with veterans, help veterans.
They're a ministry.
They're a ministry, and I've done 2 podcasts with them in the past.
Oh, sweet.
And yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I was talking to Kevin Weaver. He's up at the Warriors Journey, and he asked about the book, and I said, man, I'm beating my head against the wall. I'm trying to find a printer. And he goes, Greg, we're a book publisher. we have our own printer. Wow. And I go, okay, this is God's will. Right. He goes, you knucklehead. And I didn't know it.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, bro, when you're first time in that stuff.
So yeah, so I went with them, and it's going to be real good. And they've been extremely helpful in all the process. So, and I highly recommend that, if you're new and you're a writer and you want to get a book published, call those dudes, because they will go through the O course, man, to help you out. So they will.
Well, that's great, because if you'd have had to done the entirety of this without counsel and somebody to serve also as vendor.
I hate to say it, Greg, but it's kind of good that we didn't follow John Stryker Meyer's path that he gave us.
Yes,
he was my go-to guy. He gave us the path, and I'm glad we didn't follow any of it, because we would have been paying out the ass and never saw profit.
Yes.
God bless him and all that.
I think it's tough for people in different industries, whether it's music with record labels, writers with publishing labels, and even filmmakers with the big movie houses, is we're still very much in that transition where social media and things has sort of created this democratization of how things are produced and brought to market. Like, for example, you said Kyle Lamb has 3 books. Well, if he's got a publishing label and he's got 3 books, that means he's able to go to the big distributors like Ingram and get them distributed. Because if you just have 1 title, 2 titles, they're not going to look at you. You got 3, then you can get some distribution. But I'll see people who I talk to all the time, they're like, yeah, but I just want to get into Barnes and Noble or whatever. I'm like, don't even worry about it. That's an ego thing.
Yeah,
you can go literally direct to market to a highly targeted audience who are exactly the perfect fit for you and what you have to offer, which is why that personal brand aspect is so important. So here's Mac with about 500,000 people following him on Instagram. He doesn't need a label. You know what I mean? Why share all of his brand identity, all of his magnetism, all of his audience, all of his work, his effort, his everything, and as well as them taking rights to certain things?
You bet.
We often tell the story, that not too long ago, James Hetfield, the vocalist for Metallica, biggest heavy metal band of all time, he had a little party with him and his family up at his home in the mountains of Colorado. And the kids are like, well, what are we celebrating? I'm celebrating that we've got the rights now to all of our music. This was just a few years ago. And music all the way back to the early 80s. The kids are looking at him like, you didn't own your music?
Oh, good.
Right. And so when you've got things like, get you some and make it habitual and all the things that Max says, you don't want a label saying, well, if you're going to make t-shirts out of that, we get a cut. You do know that now, right?
Yes.
Because they now have ownership.
So
and a lot of people, all they're doing is paying their initial royalties, or just paying back the initial, if you want to call it down payment bonus, signing bonus that they got to do that. Yeah. So unless you're, one of these Stephen Kings or John Grishams or whoever, very, very difficult thing to make money. But if you can just go straight to market,
sure.
Especially you guys. You guys, it doesn't matter how old you are.
No.
Because people have become so aware now. I think, I know I go back to mention this movie again and again, but Black Hawk Down, book and movie, changed the way. Well, first of all, brought awareness, which is not the greatest thing in the world, but now retired and out of whether it's 160th or the unit,
Sure.
it's great to have a little capital here that you can, utilize to, grow a base of people and that can rally around you. And especially, someone like you, Greg, who has, such a great faith message,
Mhm.
married to this warrior, truly warrior, classification. It's a tremendous brand that can be utilized, much the same as Pat Mack and of course Geo as well. So, I mean, from I'm speaking as a fan, if I can use that word,
Sure.
but at the same time, I'm a branding and marketing guy. So I see everything in those terms.
Now I know I wanted to talk to you, man.
So,
Oh yeah.
I had to figure all this out.
Yeah, you want, trust me, you want
really good help.
yeah, you want a piece of the metal motivator, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, metal
Too bad.
motivator.
yeah.
Well, I'll be contacting him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, well, I've got a feeling we'll end up in a faith discussion for about 2
yeah.
hours. And say, okay, what did we come on here for?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just because I sit here and I'm listening to you guys, and I've already thought this in terms of Geo, and of course, Mac.
Sure.
Mac has changed my world. I had my thing I was doing, and
Yeah.
I got the huge following on Facebook and all that. But that's all this my metal motivation crowd.
Right.
Once I met Mac, I've had to learn more things about the military than I care to know.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Acronyms in particular, and I still can't keep up with them.
Yeah, it's like Latin.
Yeah. He craps acronyms. I mean, he's a never-ending stuff. So, well, what the hell does that one mean? But if he says UPS, I got that one.
Yeah.
UPS, I got.
Yeah.
But all to say is that I've watched such a phenomenal rise from obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
That Matt
Sure.
came out of absolute obscurity, and to go through sequestration and very down, dark season for him and his, personal life, family life, and to come out of that, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then just literally unintentionally
Blow it up.
He couldn't. I always say he couldn't spell social media.
No.
Not too many years ago.
It wasn't long ago.
Got planted.
We can't even keep him on Facebook because he got hacked.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Everyone's blowing me up about that. What's up
yeah.
with that?
Yeah.
So we just said we know.
Yeah, we
Oh,
know.
really? Let us
We're
know.
working on it.
But
Right.
but all to say is that same dynamic is at play for you, Greg, for you, Geo, because of your past, because of the things you've done, because it's elite, because all of these things. And for all of us who I celebrate, I've been a closet fan of Delta Force for years. And I sat in Brad Halling's drinking room.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
With Brad and his wife and Jess and Mac and Rebecca, and Brad brings out that one bottle of bourbon. What was saving for the 25th anniversary.
Yep.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
And so he's going through story and all of that. And we're as we're holding these drinks here, ready to toast. The more he told, the more I felt like I do not belong here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was just such a precious time there in his room.
Sure it was.
and taking a drink with these guys. But after that, I had to confess my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd even really told Mac any of it. And I just shared with all of them just how, it first got on my radar back in Gulf War I when they were chasing down the Scuds. And then, of course, in 93, and then kind of followed it along just myself. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I wasn't a Soldier of Fortune guy. I was just interested in them, much the same I was interested in the mafia.
There's
and
millions of them.
and then once Black Hawk Down, the book came out first, and then the movie and all that, it just kind of grew. And so I keep it on my Facebook profile, but I have a photo when they first started allowing you to do the photo albums,
Mm-hmm.
and it's dated 2007.
Wow.
And it's and the title of the photo album is Delta Force. and then it says, I have a testosterone issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was whatever photos I could find on the internet in 2007.
Okay.
And nobody cared about that photo album, but
Yeah.
I did, and a couple of my kids. That was it. So I sat in Brad's drinking room there and confessed my soul about my personal interest in these things. And so, you can imagine how honored I feel for not just meeting and, being a good friend of Max and getting to, do business with him and
he's one of
change
my
people's
favorite rappers.
lives with him.
Yeah.
But, he's been just so gracious and generous with me with, introducing me to gentlemen like yourself and other amazing people and telling me stories and all that kind of thing. So, I know all to say is there are a lot of people out there just like me. It's
You
not
bet.
just the guys and gals who served. It's a lot of people who are just fascinated with the elite, fascinated with warriors, fascinated with this culture and this lifestyle, and they're going to want to read this book. They're going to want to read any, soft rep articles from Geo and his book when he finally gets back to putting that out. And there's going to be some little 5-year-olds that want to read Max.
Yeah.
But all to say, all because you have so much capital built up from the life that you lived and the character built and all of these things. And that is capital that can be spent. And I mean that in a good way.
Sure.
Because on the other end of anything you say or anything you write is a changed life. And anybody who can look on their news feed now or turn on the TV now knows not just our country, but Western civilization is in crisis. Politics cannot produce character. And I would say this to my friend Greg, Christianity must, character must, faith must, these things that shaped Western tradition. There's a reason why, Max Weber, the German sociologist, wrote the book called The Protestant Work Ethic. Because he said that's what created Western civilization. Nothing else was so proactive and intentional and linear in their historical thinking to shape a new society, the greatest, not just the greatest country that's ever existed, but the greatest civilization that's ever existed. And there are enemies at the gate. The barbarians are in the wire. They are trying to take this thing down. Of course, utilizing the intellectual capital and technological capital of the free market and the Protestant work ethic and all of these. They want to use all that technology, right? They didn't build it or make it. They don't make rockets. They tear things down. That's what they do. And they want to take it all over. And so for that reason alone, it may just be a war story, to someone, but it's latent and saturated with principle and belief and worldview and position. And as King David said, is there not a cause?
Oh, yes.
Right. Is there not a cause? Is there not a reason, we go into battle intellectually, spiritually, and even physically? That's how important it is what you guys are doing. And that's the kind of branding and positioning that I think you guys need to get you out there so that you can truly draw, the audience and get what you have to say into their hands and really start to change lives again, man. Because again, I think that's what's at stake. We're saving Western civilization.
Yes, I agree. I concur. Yeah, and I've been telling fellas here lately, and Gio's heard it, Max heard it, and when I started this mission or this project, however you want to look at it, I was scared to do this. I really was, and I talked to my wife about it all the time. We prayed about it, and I said, "Look, again, it's my life, and I don't want to put it out there for everybody to see it because there's a lot of good and there's some bad, but I have embraced it, and I know that it's going to help people. I really do." But she says, "Look, I want you to think of it this way, and this message is for anybody out there. Write it down for your children and your grandchildren."
Mm-hmm.
I could grasp that. I said, "Oh, ding, the light went off." I said, "Okay, yes, I will do that." And then it just, segued into sending chapters to Geo and beating him up. "Hey, man, come on, let's go. Catch up.
Cracking the whip."
Go. So,
that's a unique gift right here with Geo, because just what he's been doing with soft rep and, making connections behind the scenes and all of these things. Just, there's a publishing force in that guy.
Yes. And he was a gift to me to do this collectively together. And the other side of it is that I was so blessed that Geo was there with me. He knows what's going on. He's been there. He's been with us. He knows how we operate.
Yeah. So it's a different kind of ghostwriter.
Yeah. And no other co-author other than, Mac or Kyle or any of those guys that write, they wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about, or he could take my feelings and my emotions and know what I was doing and just
filling. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Fill in the blanks.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's cool. And, and you talk about CJ social media and branding, and my idea or my plan was to have 500 books printed. And, I put my life savings out to everywhere and just praying. I was like, oh man, I hope I can sell 100 books. And I sold 500 books in 3 weeks, just making a Facebook post.
Wow.
Truth.
Look at you.
Yep.
I'm not kidding. I'm like, why do you want to buy? No, dude, we want this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna up that number, bro. Once once I get once this podcast goes hot, and once I get a hard copy, and I'm posting it on stories and crap, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Okay, so are you reprinting?
Oh yes. I wanted to do a special edition, so it's 500 books. They're hardback, and it's going to be color, and they ain't cheap to print, but I wanted to do it. And I designed a coin. So we all carry our challenge coins, or we have challenge coins. But I thought it'd be cool. So I designed a coin. So there's 500 coins and there's 500 books. The coins are numbered and the book will be numbered. And the book will be signed by both authors. So it's kind of a cool. And I've had a couple other guys say, man, I wish I'd thought about that coin idea. That's awesome. That's beautiful. And then that's it.
Nice. Let me see.
The rest of the books will be soft.
Holding up. Got it.
Okay, Geo's got one.
Yep.
Geo, talk or so that people can see it, because only we can see.
This these are adhesive labels, and I've signed them. I'm gonna send them to Greg so that he can stick them inside the cover of the book, and that's how I'll get my signature there.
Wow!
And it just
says
on
the back of the book.
Yeah. So that's about 150 signatures that I've got ready for you. Yeah. And it says, by Almighty God and with honor, George Edward Handle IV. And that's how I sign all my soft rep articles.
Cool.
Okay, so you printed 500 already.
Yes, sir.
And those are hardback with color, or the next one is?
Those are hardback with color photos.
Okay, but those are all gone.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Are you going to do another hardback version then?
I don't fucking have one.
I don't. Hey,
because what I'm thinking here is we're going to want the hardback color version.
Really?
Yeah. Why would? I'm not going to put a paperback out here. It's going to fall on my shelf. It's going to fall down.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, so I mean, just maybe think about that down the road. I think a lot of people. If you sold out of 500 of those with a Facebook post,
right,
bro, I think everybody and their grandmother is going to be like, "Dude, what's up? Where'd you get a color version signed hardback?" I got the black and white paperback.
Strategically, and Gio and I had many late night discussions and text.
Yeah, we did.
And that, business wise, the next group will be a softback and grayscale, so black and white pics, right. And just get it out there, get it to those distributors that can, start getting it out there, and then we'll relook at doing another, 500 or maybe 1,000 hardback with color. So I'm just not experienced enough.
I don't know because now again we'll have the podcast will come out.
Yes, sir.
You also have Mac pushing the book. So,
it's just
a great opportunity
away to the printer. I was like, hey dude, I need 1,000 hardback.
Well, here's the thing. What we can also do is a pre-order.
Yeah, that's what I did, a pre-order.
Okay.
It hasn't shipped yet. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, just so in other words, people go ahead and buy it now.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got there's no out-of-pocket expense.
No. They pay for the book, and then their name goes in my little spreadsheet I developed with, if they want something special written to somebody, then I put that in the notes, their mailing address and what they paid, and all of my proceeds I'm donating.
Yes,
really?
bro.
How about that, huh?
To the University of Badassery.
That's right.
Invest in education, Greg.
Why not, man?
I am.
No.
Yeah. Of course, the church will get theirs, and then
the church will get theirs.
Yeah,
he's got to kick it up to the mob, man.
God's going to get his. I'm just telling you.
To the Godfather.
But there are a lot of nonprofits out there that help me and that I work with that help veterans, and so I want to give back. God's blessed me with good income, and that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, we can chat about this offline, but Mac, you'd be in, right, with pushing the pre-order thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can make
so long as I've got digits, bro.
Yep.
That's all I need.
There you go. So, if we get a good solid landing page for the whole pre-order thing, and I'm sure you guys have that, man, I think once people hear the podcast and there's some context and some story and they're hearing from you more, again, speaking for our audience, Mac's audience and that kind of thing, who don't know you yet, you'll get a couple thousand downloads of any episode of our podcast, like within days.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's just within days. So you go that to Mac's list himself to, because we'll push it, across the board. I just think for the pre-order, I think it's just, if you did that again with a Facebook post, 500.
Yes. In
brother,
3 weeks.
And they're going to want the hardback because they're listening to us talk about how we want the hardback with the color signs.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's going to,
I've got a few bro copies set back. I'll just tell you.
All right.
I know that everybody that's listening to us now is thinking, I want the hardback.
Really? You think so?
Oh,
yeah, man.
I know it.
Yeah. Because guys have libraries, and in that library, I mean, like these things, the paperbacks, I mean, that's a really good book. I should have this in
great book.
Yeah.
Good book.
Yep. But yeah, guys with libraries, they want something to sit there and to stand up straight.
Yeah.
I mean, I can show you mine. There's all hardbacks.
Right. Yep. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
So,
and I can't tell you how many guys, Greg, in our coaching group have a similar kind of background that you have behind you. A lot of guys, and that's just, again, and we've got about 450 people just in our squad.
Wow.
Yep.
Just in our squad. I know they'll buy it.
Get on the squad, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're talking about some pretty serious numbers, and you can see the passion, hear the passion in Mac and I. And I just think that this is going to be a little bit more of a weighty endorsement. And
okay.
I mean, I'm salivating, so I know I speak for the rest of these tier 1 civilians out there who
sure.
Who enjoy this kind of content. So
you bet. Yeah. And I, thinking, and we're planners. We are that by nature. And we plan to the nth of ask Mac, ask Gio.
Man.
And we're even worse planners than those guys are. I mean, we have to know the whole ground scheme maneuver, not only our flight routes and memorize the buildings, but we got to know where the guys are going too.
Yep. Which team is where, what side of building.
Can't pull the trigger until we know where every man is. Mm-hmm. So into that, I'm thinking about logistics and shipping, and I've got it all laid out, but I wish I'd talked to you 2 months ago, CJ.
Yeah, CJ's an answer guy, man. He's a go-to guy.
I'm coming to see you, brother.
Yeah, man.
CJ talk about planning and stuff. These the MH and AH guys will write notes with a grease pencil on their windshield.
Yeah.
So it's right. They got a bunch of notes right there. Yeah, right on their windshield.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine. So yeah, I would love to see because again, if it's pre-ordered, then money's not an issue. So it is just going to be the logistics and maybe stretching the plan, widening the tent pegs. Remember that one, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Widening the tent pegs.
Well,
Yeah, because God's about to pour out something here, right? And so I would really encourage you guys to knock your heads together and see what you want to do. Anything that, of course, we can do at any stage of this to help out, please just let us know. But yeah, man, that's
why, man. Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as the book came out and I saw what Gio had posted it and what was going on, and that's what Mac and I started to talk about it. So we were so
I watched those.
So thrilled to be able to have you with us today and just to get more of your story. We'll
again, I get to walk among giants.
Yeah.
I'm just dumb old Texas cowboy. I don't quit.
What is that where you're from, Texas?
Yeah. Well, I've lived here the most. My dad was in the military corps, so
because you're in Texas now.
Yes, sir.
What part of Texas?
Just about an hour and a half west of Dallas-Fort Worth Metro.
Okay, so what's the
Graham, Texas?
Okay, I know where Graham is. Yeah, because I did my youth in Dallas, Texas.
Oh,
actually graduated from high school in Richardson and then to Dallas. Moved back again. I was in Fort Worth and moved back here to North Carolina just a few years ago. After I met Mac.
I'll be darned.
So had a reason. But man, Texas will always be home. Even though I was born in New York, Texas will always be home to me. So
absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I got a website up now, and I've got a friend of mine helped me getting it developed, and I've just there was just too much, and I was task saturated, so to speak. So, I'm good at giving out those duties, so to speak, and so the website's up, Death Waits in the Dark. They got a Facebook, Death Waits in the Dark, Instagram, Death Waits in the Dark. So I'm getting there as I learn and trying to get those social media avenues set, and so people can find it.
Right. So you want to give some contact information right now as far as what those URLs might be?
Death Waits in the Dark.
DeathWaitsInTheDark.com.
Yes, sir.
Death Waits
in the Dark. I bought the branding to it. I bought the copyrights, and again, I learned as I went, and and people tell me, dude, you need to buy this stuff. You need to check it and research it. And so that's what I did. So it's all good.
All right. So deathwaitsinthedark.com. And I'm sure there'll be links there to your social media accounts, but you just look it up. Death Waits in the Dark on Facebook. Are you guys doing anything on Instagram?
Yes. Death Waits in the Dark on Instagram.
Okay. All right, so let's make sure we hook up on there, especially you guys with T-Max Inc. and University of Badassery and Metal Motivator, because we want to be able to tag you and do all that good stuff and feature you in stories and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you guys, so
if we can, if you want to, Gio and Greg, and if you want to meet offline sometime, do another Zoom, and we'll just kind of talk.
You bet.
I'm down.
Your stuff and let's just talk some strategy and whatever, man. I really give and freely give. The routine.
Me too, brother. I've been giving so much. It's time for me to give back. That's
Pat back.
I just brought up the IG page. Death Waits in the Dark. Brand new page. It looks like. Yep. One post, one follower. Hold on. Boom. Yeah, now you got 2 followers.
Yeah.
Boom.
I got to get on there, man. Hold on.
I'm even going to message this one. I'm going to say something like, hells yes. Hells yes. Boom.
I posted some book reviews the other night on the Facebook, Death Waits in the Dark. So
yep. And it's got the link. So, to the .com and on Death Waits in the Dark.
I am the 3rd follower.
All right on.
And let me make sure. Let me make sure that University of Badassery is connected here. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I was going to tell Gayo and Gravy. We were talking about our squad, our coaching squad. Remember Kelly Neal?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a part of that squad.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to get on that, man.
Yeah, he's a part of it. He chimes in.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so funny too because he just kind of talks all casual And I wouldn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So Mac's like, this guy over here asking questions.
Well, because he chimed in about some guys were asking gun stuff, you know. And he chimed in. I said, this guy knows a little bit.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about some guns, pal.
Yeah. It's like, why did you draw your weapon from your holster before you got to the firing line?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Isn't that dangerous for the people around?
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, that's why we keep our finger off the trigger.
The amateur comments I get.
Till the sights are line is on target. Yeah.
Crack me up. But those who know, and I appreciate that, you know.
Well, it's like,
because the douchebags are few and far between compared to, you know, guys who either like, whether it's the workout stuff I do or the shooting or even the basic dude stuff.
Yeah.
Trademark pending.
I said that this morning, Pat Mac. I was putting camo on my face because I went deer hunting with my bow this morning. I was like, nice. Basic dude stuff.
Hell yeah.
But
absolutely.
Pat Mac, he'd be training there at Fort Bragg. And of course, we spent probably 60% of our time. That was our other home. And he's like, hey, dude, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, well, we're doing this and that. He's like, come on down and shoot with us. And I'm like, okay. I said, what's the uniform? Oh, just your flight suit and GSG 9s, your Oakleys, and your kit. And so I'd show up, early in the morning, getting all ready and shoot with the fellas and shoot all day and get down there to the end. We'd start doing walk backs and shoot offs.
Yep.
And old Pat was setting those guys up, man. And I was stomping them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a master class IPSC shooter, and I've been shooting for a long, long time. Plus, I've shot with all these guys, learn from them, because that's how you get better. And
I got a shooting story about Gravy.
Send it.
Well, in 2004, I competed in the All Army Small Arms Championships, and you were in that.
Yep.
And that was probably the best competition I was ever in, because I think we had like 225 guys from all over the Army.
Yep.
And what was cool about it is you all look the same. So the uniform was the same. Yep. Everybody's weapon, M16, A2, iron sights, 77 grain, Sierra Match, Black Hills ammo.
Yes, sir.
Same pistol, M9, same Dodak, AA 33, or I'm pretty sure that's the Dodak for it. It's been a while. But I had been faring pretty good, and that week in March happened to fall on St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
So on the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, I'm telling Gravy and his dudes, because they're shooting well, I said, yeah, man, there's some big parties tonight in town, big St. Patrick's Day parties. I'm going. Well, these guys went. I went back to my hotel and went to bed.
Yeah.
They came in the next day, hung over. So now I had that little bit of advantage, because I ended up winning that thing, but not by, it was no gimme. There was some really good shooters there, and the courses of fire were, nothing to take lightly. They were really good, tough national match type of courses of fire. But
it was raining sideways when we shot 500 yards.
Yeah, bro. 500 yards.
Flight mates. You're on my left.
Yep.
Hey, I won the silver medal at that, Mac.
Yep.
You got that.
Yep. I walked away with the M1 Garand. I always say, if you own one, you could pronounce it correctly.
Yep.
Garand.
Yep. I got a Garand out of that match.
God,
yep.
dang.
And I still shoot it. It's not hanging on the wall. I freaking take it out to range.
Well, I was after it.
I like to hear the ching.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, I remember that day. It was pouring. It was coming. So you could barely make out the E-type silhouette at 500. Not only that, but you're in the prone. Imagine being in the prone. And now you're time fire, right? So 500 yards, and there was a time limit. I forget how many rounds. Let's say 10 in 1 minute, whatever, something like that, national match. But with each round, boom, you'd shoot. I would reach up and blow at my front sight, because there'd be a big drop of water on it.
Bead of water.
Boom. With every shot, bring the rifle in, blow that drop of water off of the front sight post.
Figured it out after our first two engagements.
Right. First two.
We were both low.
Yep.
And we were like, what the heck is going on? Mac looked at me, goes, smack your front sight.
Smack your front sight. Yep.
and boom, X-ring, boom, X-ring. I'd reach up, smack the front sight.
Yep.
Yeah. The water would build up on that sight post. And
just that little bit of water,
yep,
created a false extra height on the tip of that front sight post, which made you shoot low.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it made it shoot a 7 round instead of
right. Yep.
For sure.
But that was yeah, man. I don't compete anymore. It's a time thing. I wish I
I don't either. It's
guys ask me if I compete still, and I don't. I just don't have the time. Like, I have a course every weekend of this month, for example, every weekend. So I still shoot a lot.
Yeah.
But
as an instructor and a trainer, you don't have time.
Mm-hmm. But the good thing in my courses, I run a lot of courses of fire, and I am very fortunate to have good shooters in it. So I'm still competing to some degree because I want to place number one at all of my courses of fire, which doesn't always happen now, by the way.
Sure.
I get my ass handed to me, and I do not mind. I think it's good for humility.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good when your students beat the instructor or
Yep.
come close to it, because then you've done your job well.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
I'm blowing up Instagram.
All right. Cool.
Oh, dude.
I take some pictures of everybody says this one's gonna rule.
Yeah, good.
But anyway, listen, guys, thank you so much for being with us. Gio, this is your second appearance. Nobody's been on the podcast, A, twice,
right,
and B, in close proximity. So, dude,
right, back to back.
Your elite status seems to be endless.
Pun pom kun. That means my friend you in Thai. my friend. Pun pom kun.
But again, Greg, thank you so much, brother. I look forward to we're talking offline more about your business and scripture and all that good stuff.
Visit you sometime.
And Gio, as always, Gio, how can people follow you and keep up with what you're doing?
I've owned a domain for like 6 years now, georgehand.org. And it was an online photography portfolio is what it was. But I got in there and, cut out all the photos, and I'm, using it as a support page for my book.
Good. Now, of course, you are on Instagram as
I am.
I think I have it right here at George E. Hand. At George, and then add another E. Hand, and of course at Death Waits in the Dark for Greg Coker's Instagram, and everybody knows T Max Inc. TMACSINC. And of course, at Metal Motivator. So a lot of great people here to follow, ladies and gentlemen, and the support for the podcast has been amazing. Mac and I, our wires are crossed because we're doing so much with the squad now that we do these things like twice a week sometimes, 2 hours at a pop. So it's like doing just umpteen podcasts, and we forget how long it's been since we've done a podcast episode. But so again, we encourage everybody who's interested in joining the squad, get up close and personal with us. You can go to patreon.com/coaching squad, and good things await for you. Your life can change, man. It is not over for you yet. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your situation is. You're bigger than anything you're facing. Remember, your best
Be
defense.
Bold.
Exactly. Your best defense is a stronger you. And so let's build you up. Let's get you back to fighting weight across the board, right? Mentally, spiritually, physically. Let's get you back to fighting weight, because there's still enemies out there. There's still a world to save. And so again, so long as you have a capability to enhance the life of another human being with your life, your experience, your knowledge, your talents, your gifts, that is all the evidence you need to know that A, your life is not over, and B, your life should exceed your own self. So let's pay the price, give ourselves for ourselves, and let's change this world and drive the enemies out. Good things are ahead, and it's good to have a motivational speaker in the White House. That's literally what he is. Despite whatever happens, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm just like, there's a motivational speaker in the White House, for crying out loud. How umpteen is that? So, but again, thank you, all you guys. Pat Mack, as always, brother.
Yep. Yep. I'll be chatting with you on Thursday night.
Exactly. I'll see you Thursday night.
Yep.
So again, remember, whatever you do, Mac,
don't suck.
Metzel up.